For those of you on YouTube, I'm pretty sure that I have to go ahead and do this every single time we enter one of these, because otherwise, you guys are going to be like, what just happened? You're just jumping around. Hi, YouTube. We're just continuing on with the friendly advice with the Yawas of, if you guys have a question or anything, feel free to ask it. This is the opportunity. This is the time to get friendly advice with my knowledge and expertise, and Brady as well. Sort of thrown at you guys out of whatever situation is there. Chat, feel free to play along. Feel free to, well, not really play along, but feel free to ask, um, questions if you guys have any questions regarding this, or, even your own personal responses to it. Anyway, yeah, Brady is absent today, YouTube. He'll be back probably next stream or a couple videos for you guys. Anyway, this one is pretty simple. It says, "Hello, Ed. Firstly, thank you for doing something like this. You're welcome, man. I'm just throwing it out there just because I feel like there's not a lot of access to mental health in general or friendly advice in general. So, yeah, I hope this helps. Even if I personally don't get any advice, I appreciate that you're looking out for others. Oh, so please a pat on your back for yourself on that one. Thank you. I really appreciate that. But hey, you're getting personal advice. Feel free to refer to me as Beats. This is all right. Well, thank you, Beats. 100%. This is his burner bail anyway. Don't worry, no one else in the chat can see it other than myself. Um, well, where do I even start out from? I suppose the main question is, what do I do? For a little context, I'm a 20-year-old currently in university, second year. Things are not going so great. I barely passed my first year and I haven't touched anything from my second year. Honestly, the thought of anything school related paralyzes me, and I try my best to forget about it. Unfortunately, I don't quite have the best moral support either, as my mother has an alcoholic problem and is incredibly hostile, while my father is disappointed in me and makes it crystal clear every day without fail. Due to this behavior spanning many years, I've regretfully grown accustomed to it, and have now fallen into the trap of thinking alike. I understand the obvious answer is just do it and get right back into my schoolwork, but I do not have the self-confidence to do it. It looks like an insurmountable mountain. Without going too much into details and boring you, you're not boring me, dude, trust me. I perceive myself with little to no worth. I don't have the strength in me to stand back up and go fight again. I've grown all too tired of all of this and my lack of power to change it. The little hope I have left has been in attaching myself to Subaru from ReZero. I know it's silly, but if he could change to a better person, maybe I could too. Maybe I could be a better human being. Can't deny. I do try my best in most things. Not much gets happen, but I do try. I always try to be as friendly as possible. I always try to look at the brighter side. I always try to do everything correctly. I always try to help whenever help is needed. I always lend an ear to my friends. I always do everything that is asked of me. But when is it enough? When am I allowed to rest? Or the more scary thought, what if this is resting compared to what I should be doing? I feel like I'm slowly fading into nothingness that is a large ocean, ever slowly sinking, not knowing when rock bottom will hit, or if I'm even there. I know you can't directly tell me what to do, or anything along those lines, but any advice? Anything to point me towards the right way? And then he put a quote. It's easy to give up, but it doesn't suit you, my bad. It's what echoes in my mind, and I try my best to continue to live on those words, but I'm slowly losing my grip on everything. Or I believe it's more accurate to say that I have already lost my grip. There's so much more I could say, so much more I could write, so much more I could tell you, but I know all too well that you must be getting flooded by similar stories, so I will not push forward. Thank you again, Ed, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Continue to support others as you always have, through thick and thin. Hey, brother. Thanks, Pete. I really, really appreciate you, not only for being vulnerable, because it takes a lot to go ahead and write something like this, but for also putting in your thoughts. You can, you really, really do come out in this as to what's happening in your situation. Um, and first off, hey, you know what, man? I, I gotta say, it sounds like you're in a tough spot. It sounds like it fucking sucks. I'm not gonna lie to you, and I don't like to bullshit or anything like that. But it sounds like yeah, it sounds like your natural supports aren't really supports, if that makes sense. And yeah, being in a tough spot like this, one of my biggest things that I instantly notice is like all these questions that you're asking. It's coming down to, for example, and I'll read it again just so that chat knows where I'm at. I've always wanted to do everything correctly. I always wanted to help whenever help is needed. I always tend to lend an ear to my friends. I always tend to do everything that is asked of me. But when is it enough? When am I allowed to rest from the most scary thought? What if resting is what I should be doing? So let me ask you this: when are you allowed to rest? When are you allowed to breathe? When are you allowed to sleep? When are you allowed to help yourself? Because it sounds to me as though there's a lot of expectations that are being placed on you by society, your friends, family, everyone in general. But when are you allowed to be you? When was the last time that you were you? Because helping others, don't get me wrong, I love helping others and being there for people, but I also have to put my own boundaries up. Otherwise, it takes a toll and it takes you to a dark spot. It can take you to the spot where even if you're working, you know, if you do something, you'll end up exhausted and in a really, really dark place. So that's exactly why I gotta ask you, when was the last time that you were you and you were genuinely happy? And it's a hard one. It is a hard one to take in, you know. But with all of that being said, something I will go ahead and throw out there for you, and that this might actually help a little bit, is write down the things that you've done, right? Because sometimes some of the hardest things that we can take, um, for example, I also have this weird thing, feeling that like sometimes I'm not doing enough, or sometimes I'm not enough for society, my own expectations, 1,001 things. But write down what your goals are, right? I.e., even if it's like to finish school, right? If you're not doing so great in school right now, what have you done that got you into this school? Aside from parents and natural support, because first off, if your parents, and if you're going to university in the United States, let me throw this out there, there are always counselors available at your university. So I'm throwing this out there in case you need help, right? Because sometimes we have a lot of shit like in us that we need someone to go ahead and vent to, a professional maybe to just listen to us, that should be completely free of charge if it's in your university. Um, Throwing that out there because a lot of people don't seem to know that there are the support networks inside of the US. I know that in the Netherlands, there was also that support program as well. And most universities, they do tend to have them. So if there's that support network for you, please feel free to go ahead and reach out and do something like that, especially to start venting and talking a lot about sort of the situation at home. Okay, I'm gonna break this down step by step because it is a really packed, I guess, email, right? And it's a lot to go ahead and dissect. Um, Even chat, I'm pretty sure chat is very empathetic in this regard as well because it can really hit. So here's my thing for you, right? Yeah. So when you're talking about this, right? And this is something that I'm wondering, and I don't know your situation, of course. I don't know if you're living at home or living at the uni. If you're living at the uni, the best thing that you can probably do it right now is put up your boundaries, put up your distance from your parents. They might be helping you out financially, but try and limit the contact that you do have with them, right? To a certain amount, just because of that. If you do live at home, and say that if you're working, I'd say start saving up to maybe find a place for yourself, just because yeah, that's a really, really. Our environment can dictate our patterns that we think, right? So if we're in a happier environment, which is, it sounds silly, right? And I know some people in chat might be like, Edgar, but this is not what you and Brady talked about in one of the first videos. But no, our environment, i.e., for example, if I took Kraith and I brought him to the desert over here with me in like 50 C weather, he would not be happy. He would not be happy at all. If I took, another individual that really likes the desert and I brought him to the desert, they would be a lot better. They'd be a lot happy as compared to like an ice climate. I'm not saying completely change your environment, but what I'm saying is our environments, depending on where we are and where we live in, yeah, I know, great. Can definitely start changing the way that not only our like motivation, not only our attitude, but like just our I don't know how to put it, or general perspective of what we can and can't do. Um, in terms of school, I think this is probably one of the best opportunities to go ahead and, like, as I mentioned, talk to a counselor there and sort of mention where your head's at, just in case that if you are getting a little behind, you do have the opportunity to voice your concern, mention what's going on, and also let the university know, like, just in case that you are too far behind, that they don't just kick you from a program that you are in case it's one of those programs, or they offer some additional help, i.e., giving you more time to do assignments or something like that. So super important that you go ahead and, like, talk to that. Unfortunately, I think that one of the big things on here that you mentioned is that, like, this is a behavior that's been spanning multiple years from your parents. Yeah. And breaking a schema, breaking something like that is probably one of the hardest things that you can do, because you tend to grow, like, a lot of individuals tend to grow a lot of negative self-talk. I.e., if my mom and my dad say that I'm lazy, I must be lazy. Even if you're constantly working towards your goal, even if every day you get up and you try and study, you might not do the homework because you might be done, you might be frizzled out by the end of the day, but every single day you're trying to do something. And we tend to make these negative self-talks, these negative schemas into our present reality. Super important we talk about this because there's a lot of individuals that, like, they get told something at a young age and then they just completely adapt it, and it's hard to break from that schema. So for example, I've had individuals that say I will never be loved, right? And what I'll have you do, especially, for those of you in chat, if you guys have a schema like that, something like, what, um I will never be loved. I am lazy. I am this. Start with an I am sentence. But for you personally, this might be something that you might want to go ahead and do as well. Um, and put that statement out there. So, for example, um, let me see it. I am. Where can I find it? Chat. Give me one that I can use. Throw an I am statement that one of you guys has felt throughout time or something like that, and I'll use it as an example. To the rest of you guys that are on here, hello, all of you lurkers. Okay, I am stupid. And yeah, I'm pretty sure someone's gonna try and clip that. That's totally fine. But let's use that because that's a common one, yeah? Like, I'm stupid, I am an idiot, so on and so forth. So on a scale, and this is probably the I am overworked. But let's use the I am stupid one because that's actually like an innate feeling. I am stupid. Yeah, okay, so why am I stupid? My parents might have thought of this, so on and so forth. I could do something like pros and cons list, right? And this is gonna sound silly, but this is called classical cognitive behavioral training work, right? Which is essentially where you put the statement, for example, I am stupid, and now you try and work for and against it. For it, I got a C on my test. Against it, it was the highest grade on in my class, or it was right in down the middle of the road. Am I really as stupid as everyone else in the class? Probably not. You know, for it, for being stupid. My parents and my dad, or my mom and my dad, call me stupid. Against it, they never graduated high school. For it, or a D. You know what I'm talking about. For it, you know, I I don't know. Uh, I think that really bad animes have fantastic qualities, right? Like really, really bad animes that I can't mention because I'm like it's not the OS. Against it, everyone has different tastes. Why am I throwing it out there like that? Just so that you can go ahead and start making a list. Literally, like point out something. So if the main topic is I'm stupid, now you have a pros list. Like what supports that argument, what goes against that argument. What you'll start to find is that like one argument list will start to find the other based on your schema. Once you have that done, this is the way that CBT works. In case you guys are wondering something like that, what you can do is called a continuum. This is the only time in therapy I will ever use on a scale of 1 to 10. How does that make you feel? Because it's idiotic, you know. So let's go with the statement I am stupid. And I'll use someone here in chat so that way you actually have like a live representation of what this can mean. Kraith, I'm gonna use you since that was the example. If you're okay with that, yeah, I'm gonna use you. Okay. So Kraith, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rank yourself in like in that statement? Like, how stupid are you? One being, I'm not stupid at all. 10 or one being I am really really stupid, and 10 being I am actually kind of smart. Where do you put yourself? You put yourself at a 5. Okay. So, Chris, I want you to go ahead and like start listing off all the smartest people, people that are, super duper smart, um, at the top of the list. Go ahead. You could, who fits at a 10? You could put like Albert Einstein, Stephen Hawking, uh, big individuals, whatever that means for you. At a 9, you keep going down and down and down. Um, and then you take it the reverse way. So, for example, Kraith. So that's the thing, Alan. This is why we continue on to this continuum. So if you make that pros and cons list that we were talking about, and one side overrides the other, you continue on with this, and there's a reason for this. Because this attacks your logical thinking pattern of a bad schema that we've all brought up to be. So, for example, let's say that Kraith put 10 for the smartest individuals that he's known as Echidna. 9 is like Stephen Hawking. 8 is, uh, I don't know, Roswell. And he keeps putting up all these individuals, right? And he's like, 6 is Subaru, right? 4, or he goes, now that you've done the 10 to 5, now you start at the other extreme. Who is the dumbest person you know, Craig? So now you take it in reverse. Now you go, if Kraith knows someone that just can't even tie his shoe properly or can't do anything that he knows how to do, um, we'll go ahead and use an anime character. Um, Dumbest person you may know. You want to go ahead and throw one out there, Kraith? You can, feel free. You guys can do this at, like, by the way, if you guys are in chat, you guys can do this along with us, and this might help you guys out. It's okay. Keep it private. Keep it to yourself. We're not going to put it out. I don't want to put you on blast, Kraith. But what you'd end up doing is, like, for example, uh, dumbest person I know, I can go ahead and say it's one of my cousins, right? I ain't gonna go into details just in case they see this and they might be, are you talking about me? No, but let's just say that, like, yeah, exactly. No, it's not you at all. I'm not gonna go ahead and say who it is or whatnot. I'm gonna defend myself. But what I will put out there is like, individuals, for example, an individual that I'm thinking about, uh, their socialization is not socialization, it's more sexualization. They haven't really don't have a good understanding of what like economic sense are, material sense, who they are as an individual. Um, didn't really graduate high school, so on and so forth. Like you can start throwing in a bunch of different like things in there, and like you try to talk to them, and it's always like a blank wall. You know, so I'd probably put that at like a 3, right? At a 1, I could probably think of some other clients that I've had that just stuff like that. So, Kraith, thinking about like the worst individuals that like people that you think are dumber than you, anime characters or individuals in real life, that fill in the 1 through 5 spot or 1 through 4 spot. If I were Kraith, and let's say that I put Subaru at a 6 and at a 4 or at a 3.7 or something like that, I put like who would I put? Okay, at a 3.7, I decided to go ahead and put like geese, right? Just my thing. Am I closer to geese than I am to Subaru? Would I do the same decisions that Subaru made? I think I'd be more protective of Emilia. I'm guessing this would be this would be Krait's thinking pattern. You know, am I really a 5? Am I really in between Subaru and Geese? No, I'm pretty sure I'd make smarter choices at least 1 or 2 times more than Subaru. I'm not a 5. I'm at least at like a 6.2. I would at least care more for Emilia's emotions and my own personal emotions that one episode. You know? So the point I'm making there is quite literally once you start making a big list like that, you can, yeah, yeah, once you start filling in a big list like that, doesn't matter, like even if you start putting in those comparisons, your mind will start to find the breaks in your pattern, will say, yo, logically, you're wrong. Logically, you're putting yourself too low. Logically speaking, you're better than what you think you are. And that's super duper important, even if it only raises it by a little bit. You know what? Even if it only raises it by zero point 0.5, right? Even if you're like, you know what? It's like a 5.5. What changed? There was a small change in there that noticed that you inside of you, there's something that's worth a value more than what you originally thought. And that is super duper important to notice. And even if you go back, hey, what changed? What made you go back a little bit? Oh, you know what? It's just because I don't truly, I don't know, in a situation like that, I don't think I'd be able to empathize with Amelia or so on and so forth. And then you can bring up, like, all right, well, then why don't we talk about that? How can we get you, how can we get you from a 4 to a 5? Yeah, 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 yeah. So, for example, Kraith, let's say that you went backwards. How can we get you from, like, let's say that you went to a 4.5. How can we get you from a 4.5 to a 5.5? How can we get you to move one? I'm not even talking about moving 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like, getting all the way to the other end of the scale. I'm just talking about how can we get you to move, like, at least 1 point in your mind. And you'll probably come up with an answer. You'll probably come up with, you know what, maybe if I actually started to, I don't know, spend an hour doing this one particular thing. If I started doing that, maybe I could bump myself off or up like zero point 0.3. There you go. That's zero point 0.3 of a change. You know what? Maybe if I did this, I could bump myself up a little bit more. There you go. And it's important to realize that like scales like these can change over time. Your emotions, the way that you think can bring you up and can bring you down. And like it's okay. It's wherever you rank. It's okay as long as you're comfortable. Like this is your own personal rank, by the way. I'm not ranking you guys. This is wherever you guys are, and however you guys want to go ahead and move up and down that scale accordingly, according to you, wherever you see fit. But that's the point. And perfect, excellent answer, Creative. If I was able to be more creative, maybe it would be a little bit better. Okay, how can we get you to be a little bit more creative, Creative? What if we took an hour a day to just focus on your creativity? You know what? Like we'll do painting for that 1 hour, or we'll do like literally find out how to build houses on Minecraft. You see how easy it is to go ahead and find like something that could like, as long as we're able to talk and listen to ourselves, and even if we have to use a friend or someone to go ahead and come up with a strategy or something like that, and say that say that we end up doing this hour of Minecraft or this hour of painting or this hour of something, and creates like, you know what, it helped, it worked the first couple of weeks, but then like I felt like it just went down, so on and so forth, and then you can like revisit it and keep adjusting. So I hope that this helps. I hope that that's a good like train of thought of how to use one or two skills to help you at least like start finding, especially if it's self-worth. I am worthy, you know or I am who I am, things like that. Super duper super duper important that we touch on bases like this and we try and understand. Hey, 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 how you doing? But yeah, when we're talking about all of that, just make sure that you're okay. Make sure that like you're going through this little by little. Now, one thing I want to address is attaching yourself to Subaru from ReZero. I know that sometimes in anime and video games, it can be like it can be one of the biggest things like that we do is like we attach ourselves to individuals that we find commonalities with, right? So if you attach yourself to Subaru, there's nothing wrong with it, but know that like while he can change, you can also change as well. And change takes a while. Change takes a lot of like, going forward, but there are also relapses in change. You know, you can be doing really, really good, and all of a sudden, like for example, I'll be honest with you guys. Sometimes I enter really, really, uh, like I enter like a depressive period for a little bit. Like it'll be like a 1 or 2 week cycle in a year where I'm just really, really down, and I just can't absolutely do anything. You know, um, and relapses happen, and this is due to my own personal stuff that happened in my past and whatnot. And sometimes it just comes back unexpectedly, but it's totally okay to be aware. Yeah, it's okay to be aware of where your cycles are emotionally, where you're standing, physically, how you're doing, and so on and so forth. You know, and and those check-in, yeah, change is not a straight line. You might be doing really good and then just like fall back, but hey, you've been there, so you can keep this cycle going. Um, and yeah, if you ever feel, and this is my biggest advice, especially because of going through rock bottom and going through really really dark areas in my life, I will say this: if you ever feel like you've hit like a dark space, rock bottom, and I'm sure by the tone of my voice you're noticing what I'm talking about, reach out to a therapist, reach out to a counselor. There's a lot of support out there. In terms of, when will you be allowed to rest? When are you going to be enough for yourself? So on and so forth. It takes time, brother. But it's about making those changes and putting up boundaries and being able to make connections and have natural supports like that actually are there for you and build your environment. You know, just know that like at least here in our Discord, if you ever want to vent, if you ever want to need support, you have a lot of people that not licensed, of course. You have a lot of individuals in Discord that are gonna go ahead and like talk to you if you need someone to talk to. But hey, out of everything, just know that we really appreciate you, and I really, really do appreciate you for being open and honest about this. And yeah, if you need any other form of advice, I hope that this helps. I hope that thinking about like what your uh, I guess baseline statement is. For example, I am bad, as we talked about, the writing the pros and cons, doing the continuum, the 1 to 10, and creating a plan like what can I do in order to go from a 5 to a 6 helps you. Because yeah, but thank you for being so vulnerable. I really really appreciate it. And yeah, if you need any other advice, as I said, join our Discord. We're there for you. And for those of you watching, if you want to send an email, feel free. That's what we're here for.